What's good, people? Welcome back to the channel. So, you finally did it. You snagged a PlayStation 5. The absolute unit is sitting there, humming like it knows it's a beast. The gorgeous UI is staring back at you, and you're holding that DualSense controller thinking, this feels like the future. But now you're looking at the PlayStation Store, and oh my god, the games. There are thousands of them. Sequels, remakes, indie games that'll make you cry, massive blockbusters. They're all screaming for your money and your time. It's overwhelming. Alright, we're starting this list with a trial by fire. A game that was there on day one, basically staring down every new PS5 owner and saying, you think you're ready? This is a full ground-up remake of the game that laid the groundwork for a revolution. Before Dark Souls, before Bloodborne, before Elden Ring, there was this beautiful, brutal masterpiece. And developer Bluepoint Games didn't just slap on a new coat of paint, they resurrected it. The world of Boletaria is so breathtakingly detailed that you'll stop in your tracks. Not just because that knight wants to turn you into a shish kebab, but because you're morbidly fascinated by how cool he looks while doing it. So why is this a must-play? Because it's a pure, unapologetic video game that respects your intelligence by absolutely disrespecting your first 10 attempts. Every enemy is a puzzle. Every boss is a this is impossible moment that turns into a let's go, fist pump an hour later. And the PS5 hardware? Chef's kiss. The SSD means death, which, trust me, will happen a lot, is just a blip. You're back in the action instantly, and the DualSense? You feel the crackle of magic, the clang of a perfect parry. It's tough, yeah, but it's a historically important game, and maybe the most gorgeous launch title ever. If you want to see where the whole Souls-like craze began and have your eyeballs melt out of your skull, you have to brave Demon's Souls. From dark fantasy demons to the photorealistic gleam of a supercar, Gran Turismo 7 isn't just a racing game. It's a full-blown celebration of car culture. For decades, GT has been a PlayStation staple, and this is the culmination of all that history, polished to a mirror shine. The visuals are just bonkers. I've spent more time in photo mode than I have sleeping, just staring at the detail on these cars. The stitching on the seats, the way light hits the paint, oh my god. But here's why it's essential, even if you're not a car person. The cafe mode is genius. It's a chill guided tour through the history of cars. It turns collecting cars from a grind into this super engaging and weirdly educational journey. You're not just getting a new car, you're learning its whole legacy. And the DualSense controller is the star again. You can feel the subtle slip of your tires on a wet corner or the aggressive thump 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 of the ABS kicking in. It's a relaxing, beautiful, and deeply satisfying game that every new owner should take for a spin, even if it's just to see how pretty a game can be. There are some stories that just define a console, and The Last of Us is one of them. Now I know what you're thinking. Didn't this come out on PS3? Yes, but this version, Part 1, is a complete ground-up remake, built to squeeze every drop of power out of the PS5. This isn't a remaster. Every single thing was recreated. The result is one of the most emotionally devastating and visually stunning games you will ever play. Like, I'm not even kidding. This game is here because it is the absolute peak of the single-player, story-driven blockbusters that PlayStation is famous for. The story of Joel and Ellie is a masterpiece that will stick with you forever. The gameplay, that tense mix of stealth and brutal combat, is smoother than ever. But it's the PS5 stuff that makes this the definitive version. Feeling the tension of a bowstring in the triggers, or hearing the clicks of the infected with 3D audio long before you see them. Terrifying. It's an intense, emotionally draining, and completely unforgettable experience that shows you just what PlayStation's best storytellers can do. Final Fantasy VII isn't just a game, it's a cultural event. So when they decided to remake it, they went all out, reimagining it as a whole trilogy. Rebirth is the second part, and it is a staggering achievement. Where the first part, Remake, was a tight, linear story in one city, Rebirth just blows the world wide open. It takes the characters we've loved for decades and gives them these massive, gorgeous open zones to explore. This game earns its spot because it's one of the grandest adventures you can have on the console. It blends this deep, emotional story with an action combat system that's all flash and strategy. But the real star is the world itself. I've lost entire weekends just exploring, hunting monsters, and playing the ridiculously deep card game, Queen's Blood. Seriously, the card game alone is worth the price of admission. It's a massive, generous, and brilliantly crafted JRPG that's a perfect entry for newcomers, and a tear-jerking nostalgia trip for old fans. Every now and then, a game comes along that just changes everything. It sets a new bar for an entire genre. Right now, that game is Baldur's Gate 3. This is an RPG with a level of freedom and depth that is just unprecedented. You're thrown into the world of Dungeons and Dragons with a parasite in your brain, and what happens next is, well, it's completely up to you. The amount of choice is insane. Every conversation can go a dozen ways. Every quest has multiple endings. My playthrough was completely different from my friends. It's magic. This is a must-play because it's a high watermark for RPGs. The writing is incredible, the characters are unforgettable, and the world reacts to your choices in ways you won't see coming. Yes, it's a huge game. You can easily sink over 100 hours into it, but it's worth every single second. On PS5, they masterfully adapted it for a controller, so it feels great to play from the couch. And if you're on the fence, you might be able to snag a 2-hour trial with PS Plus Premium. Baldur's Gate 3 is more than a game. It's a whole other life waiting for you. One of the highest rated games of all time for a reason. Okay, imagine our world 1,000 years from now. Nature has taken over and humanity lives in tribes. Now imagine that world is stalked by giant, animal-like machines. That's Horizon Zero Dawn. You play as Aloy, an outcast and a master hunter, trying to uncover the mysteries of her past and what the hell happened to our world. And while there have been rumors of a full-on PS5 remake, the original PS4 version is on the store and plays beautifully on PS5 with enhanced performance. It's the perfect place to start. This is the perfect open-world starter game for any new PS5 owner. The world is gorgeous, but the gameplay loop is where it's at. Hunting the machines is this brilliant mix of Monster Hunter and a third-person shooter. You're strategically targeting weak spots with your bow, setting traps. It feels so good when you take down a massive Thunderjaw. The story is also surprisingly smart sci-fi that will get its hooks in you deep. It's an awesome, polished, and totally captivating adventure that sets you up perfectly for its even bigger sequel. If you've ever wanted to be a samurai, this is it. This is your dream come true. Ghost of Tsushima is one of the most beautiful and atmospheric open-world games ever made. Period. You're Jin Sakai, a samurai trying to save his home from a Mongol invasion. The game is a love letter to samurai movies and it shows. There's even a Kurosawa mode that turns the whole game into a black and white cinematic experience. I played half the game like that. It's art. A Ghost of Tsushima is essential because it's all about immersion. There's barely a HUD. You navigate the world by following the wind. The combat is this beautiful dance of death where you can challenge enemies to tense standoffs or go full ghost and use stealth. Both feel amazing. The director's cut for PS5 includes the awesome Iki Island expansion and makes the DualSense sing. You feel every sword clash. It's a game that just transports you. Alright, we're past the halfway mark, and we've already hit some absolute titans. I gotta know, out of the game so far, which one are you jumping into first? Let me know down in the comments. I read all of them. And hey, if this list is helping you out, do me a solid and smash that subscribe button. We're about to get into the top half, and trust me, you don't want to miss these. If you're looking for that perfect first game to fire up on your PS5, this is arguably it. Miles Morales is a shorter, standalone adventure that's a perfect intro to this world. You play as Miles as he's learning the ropes while Peter Parker's on vacation. The whole thing is set during Christmas in a snow-covered Harlem, and the game is just bursting with style and heart. This is the quintessential starter pack game. Why? First, it's a tight 10 to 15 hour story. A full blockbuster experience you can actually finish in a weekend. Second, it's a phenomenal PS5 showcase. Web swinging is so fluid, and loading from the main menu to the open world takes like 3 seconds. It's beautiful chaos. Miles also has his own bioelectric venom powers and camouflage, which makes the combat feel fresh and so cool. It's a game that is just pure, unfiltered fun from start to finish. For years, we heard developers say the SSD would change gaming. Ratchet and Clank. Rift Apart is the game that proved they weren't just blowing smoke. This thing is a technical marvel. The whole premise is that reality is tearing apart, and you're jumping between completely different dimensions instantly. No loading screens. 1 second you're in a futuristic city, the next you're in a prehistoric swamp. It's a trick that simply wasn't possible on older consoles, and my jaw was on the floor the first time I saw it. But beyond the tech magic, Rift Apart is just an incredibly fun and charming adventure. The weapons are bonkers, as always. You've got guns that turn enemies into garden sprinklers, summon angry mushrooms. It's wild. The DualSense goes nuts here. with every weapon feeling totally unique in your hands. The story is funny and heartfelt, and the whole thing looks like a Pixar movie came to life. It's a family-friendly, jaw-droppingly beautiful game that really feels next-gen. So every PS5 came with a free game called Astro's Playroom, right? It was this awesome little tech demo for the DualSense. Well, in 2024, the developers took that idea and blew it up into a full-fledged masterpiece called Astro Bot. And do not, I repeat, do not sleep on this thinking it's a kid's game. Bro, Astro Bot is one of the best 3D platformers ever made. It stands right next to the all-time greats. This game is pure, the unfiltered joy. Astro Bot is essential because it's a love letter to the entire history of PlayStation and a masterclass in creativity. You travel to over 50 planets, and almost every level throws a new power-up or gameplay idea at you. Froggy boxing gloves, a jetpack that paints paths in the air. It never stops surprising you. Your goal is to rescue over 150 little PlayStation character bots, from heroes like Kratos to characters so obscure I had to Google them. But more than anything, it's the ultimate DualSense showcase. You'll feel rain tapping on your controller, the tension of a slingshot. It's an endlessly charming game that will have you smiling like an idiot the whole time. How do you top two of the best superhero games ever? If you're Insomniac, you put both heroes in one game, crank the spectacle up to 11, and deliver one of the most thrilling rides on the PS5. You play as both Peter and Miles, and you can switch between them almost instantly. The city is bigger now, including Queens and Brooklyn, and the new web wings let you glide through the city at insane speeds. It feels incredible. I've spent hours just gliding around, not even doing missions. This is a must-play because it is the ultimate superhero power fantasy, perfected. The story is bigger and darker, with Kraven the Hunter and the absolutely terrifying Venom. The dynamic between Pete and Miles is the heart of it all. As a PS5 exclusive, it pushes the hardware to its absolute limit with breathtaking visuals and zero loading. From the huge cinematic set pieces to the small, quiet character moments, Spider-Man 2 is a polished, confident, and epic adventure every PS5 owner has to play. Few games deserve the word epic, but God of War Ragnarök is one of them. This is the insane conclusion to the Norse saga that started with the 2018 God of War. You're back as Kratos and his son, Atreus, trying to prevent the end of the world. What follows is a monumental achievement in video game storytelling. It's a powerful, emotional story about family and fate, set against the ridiculous backdrop of Norse mythology. And I got so invested I was shouting at my TV. This game is an absolute must-play because it's the pinnacle of PlayStation's cinematic action-adventure formula. The combat is brutal and so satisfying, with the Leviathan axe and Blades of Chaos feeling better than ever. Each of the 9 realms you visit is a huge, gorgeous world, filled with side quests that are honestly as good as the main story. On PS5, the game is a technical beast, running beautifully with insane detail. The haptic feedback makes every axe throw and parry feel meaty. Ragnarök is more than a game. It's an opera of violence and emotion, a modern masterpiece. And here we are, number 1, the single game that I believe is the most essential for any new PS5 owner. That game is Horizon Forbidden West. This is the sequel to Zero Dawn, and it takes everything that made the first game great and just blows it up in every direction. Aloy heads to the Forbidden West, what's left of California, Utah, and Nevada, and the world is impossibly huge, diverse, and breathtakingly beautiful. Tropical beaches, lush jungles, desolate deserts. It's a technical and artistic triumph. So why is this number 1? Because it is the complete package. It's the ultimate promise of the PS5, delivered. It's got a deep sci-fi story, an enormous and engaging open world, and a core gameplay loop of hunting majestic and terrifying machines that's better than ever. The game is a true graphical powerhouse that will make your jaw drop. Seeing a massive tall neck walk through the fog, or a terrifying slaughter spine charge at you, is a moment you won't forget. For the sheer sense of adventure, discovery, and technical brilliance, Horizon Forbidden West is the game you bought a PS5 to play. And that's the list. 13 games that are the perfect foundation for your PS5 library. From the brutal challenge of Demon's Souls to the grand adventure of Horizon Forbidden West, these games show you everything this console can do. They'll make you feel the magic of the DualSense, marvel at the speed of the SSD, and lose yourself in some of the greatest worlds ever made. Of course, this is just the beginning. There are so many other bangers out there with more coming all the time, like the wild-looking Clair Obscur and the much-anticipated Ghost of Yotei. But now, I want to hear from you. What did I miss? What's in your top 13? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.